Hello, my name is London Rose. I'm an application engineer with Dynapar. In today's video, we will overview the electronic fault capabilities of the HS35iQ encoder. Whether you have the programmable or the standard version, this will allow you to determine the health of your encoder.
Troubleshooting a closed-loop system can be very tricky and often leads to unnecessary downtime. The purpose of the electronic fault LED is to simplify the troubleshooting process by giving a visual indication of an encoder error. In addition to the LED located on the housing of the encoder, a fault output signal is also sent from the encoder's primary and diagnostic connector to whatever monitoring device you have the encoder wired to. With this information, a user can effectively diagnose if the problem is encoder related or if other areas of the system need to be investigated. The electronic fault detection feature will trigger two different types of notifications. These are errors and warnings. Errors will make the LED pulse red, and warnings will make the LED pulse orange. The four events which can trip the electronic fault LED on the HS35iQ encoder include fatal encoder errors, low input voltage errors, fault monitoring errors, and the position sensor health warning. The position sensor health notification is considered a warning because the encoder has not yet had a critical malfunction. The remaining three electronic fault notifications are all errors, indicating that some part of the functionality of the encoder has failed. Both errors and warnings will trigger a notification in the event log, along with a suggested corrective action. However, only errors, not warnings, will trigger the fault output signal pin, which is available on both the primary and diagnostic connector. When a fatal encoder error is triggered, this indicates that the internal sensing engine of the encoder has failed. When tripped, the fatal encoder error will cause the LED on the housing of the encoder to pulse red. The corrective action for this error is to power cycle the unit, and if the fatal encoder error persists, to replace the encoder. This definitive indication of encoder failure negates the need for the user to look at the drive or motor for other problems in the feedback system. Low input voltages can trigger an error whenever the input voltage provided to the encoder drops below 4 volts DC. There are multiple reasons why this could happen, but this indicator will help rule out any internal problem with the encoder. The actual input voltage value supplied to the encoder can be seen within the PulseIQ software tool in both the Event Log tab, after a fault is triggered, or on the Device Details tab in the System Data section under Current Voltage. To correct this problem, the integrity of the wiring should be checked, and the input voltage of the encoder should be increased to at least 5 volts DC. When the fault monitoring error is flagged, this indicates that the encoder has lost the ability to detect one or more faults and in turn cause the LED on the encoder to pulse red. Even though the encoder has lost the ability to monitor faults, the ABZ output signal of the encoder may still be functioning properly. When the fault monitoring error fault is triggered, the corrective action is to power cycle the unit, and if the fault persists, to replace the encoder. To help prevent the needless rip and replace of a functional unit, the HS35iQ encoder monitors its internal position sensor's health. This feature tracks the health of the internal LED within the position sensor and issues a warning to the user when the LED is nearing the end of its life. When tripped, the electronic fault LED will pulse orange, indicating that the encoder is still operational but will need to be replaced soon. At this time, maintenance should be scheduled to replace the encoder before the encoder malfunctions. This will ensure maintenance during scheduled downtime rather than dealing with unexpected downtime.
In this video, we discussed the electronic fault monitoring capabilities of the HS35iQ encoder. We discussed some reasons it might be triggered and the associated corrective actions. This should allow for faster troubleshooting and reduced downtime. For more information on this technology, please visit Dynapar.com, where we have videos and manuals to help.